Hello all and welcome back to the Burning Crusade. In today's edition of the 60 to 70 leveling guide, we will be focusing on Terokkar Forrest. At this point, you should have completed quests in Hellfire Peninsula, Zangarmarsh. You should have been exposed to Shattar City and picked the Elder and Scryer at this point. Picked between Elder and Scryer, I should say, and are now ready for the next stage in leveling. First off, you will probably have gotten a quest in Zangarmarsh to come to this area that I am at right now, the Cenarian Thicket, which is just outside Shattar City. This little area will offer you about 4 or 5 quests, I think, to continue to boost your reputation with the Cenarian Expedition. So this should be your first stop in Terokkar Forest. Now, after that, where I would highly recommend that you go is to this area just inside the Bone Wastes. In the Shattar City video, I went over briefly the Lower City and Sha'tar factions. Those would be your first exposure to them, and the quests in the Bone Waste will be your first opportunity to increase those reputations. So, entering the blast radius of Auchindoun, we arrive at the refugee caravan, which is on the northern outskirts of the Auchindoun dungeons. This little area that you can see me running around in right now is the refugee caravan, where you will find your first group of Lower City quests. Lower City is one of the harder reputations to increase as you're leveling in the Outlands. Really, your goal while you're leveling, if you can get up to Honored, so you can get that heroic key, great. That heroic key does unlock the Auchindoun heroic difficulty for all 4 of those dungeons. So there's a decent amount of quests here. I want to say between 6 and 10 quests that you can do, all of which center around this area in the Bone Wastes. Moving over now into Auchindoun for a brief little tour. Now, if you don't have a flying mount like me, which you won't until you get to level 70, you can enter the inner ring of Auchindoun through any of these tunnels. I believe that there's 4 of them around, 4, maybe more tunnels around the perimeter of it. Basically, you go down in the tunnels, and if you take only right turns, then you should be okay. So in the Auchindoun, well, 3 of the dungeons increase your reputation with the Lower City. The 4 dungeons are as follows, in order of which you will complete them. The first is Manitoums, which is at the northernmost entrance over here. This is the one dungeon out of the 4 that does not increase your reputation with the Lower City. Instead, it increases your reputation with the Consortium. Now, this will be your first exposure to the Consortium reputation faction, which is not a significant reputation faction in the Outland. In fact, the only reason to really level that reputation to Exalted would be if you wish to unlock jewel crafting patterns. But still, as I've mentioned in other videos, dungeons are the best way to increase your reputation from friendly to honored. So that's a great opportunity for you to start off increasing your reputation with the Consortium if you are a jewel crafter and that is what you desire. Moving on to the western entrance, this is Auchindoun Crypts. I want to say, like, if Mana Tombs is available at 64, then this would be available around 64, 65-ish. It's slightly higher than Mana Tombs, but not by much. On the eastern entrance leads to Sethic Halls, which is available at level 67, and finally the southernmost entrance, which does require a key to enter to even get into the portal, is the Shadow Labyrinth. The key drops 100% drop rate, of course, at the end of Sethic Halls. So as long as you do Sethic Halls before you try to do Shadow Labyrinth, then you'll be fine. And that dungeon is available at level 68. It is one of the top tier. Actually, both Sethic and Shadow Labyrinth are among the top tier dungeons that, as I've previously addressed, you use to farm gear before you can do heroics. And despite the fact that the Mana Tombs is a consortium reputation dungeon, all 4 dungeons are unlocked. All 4 heroic difficulties are unlocked by the lower city key, which you need honored to purchase. Now, even though there aren't many questing opportunities for the lower city, those quests over here at the refugee caravan and a run or so through Alchemy Crypts should increase your reputation to honored, and if not, then Shadow Labyrinth and Sethic Halls certainly will. Once again, all heroic dungeons will increase your reputation through Exalted, so really your only goal with lower city should be honored. Moving on to the southwestern portion of the Bone Wastes, you will find this little camp right here, the Sha'tar Base Camp. Not many people know about this, but this is a great way to get your reputation rolling for the Shattar Reputation faction. Unfortunately, you will not have the opportunity to do any Sha'tar dungeons until level 70 or 68 if you're a druid, because all 3 Shattar dungeons are in Tempest Keep, which requires a flying mount to enter. So this is a great way to get your Shattar reputation rolling. Now, you will earn Shattar reputation through increasing your reputation with either the Alders or the Scryers, depending on which one you picked, but getting straight Shattar reputation is always great. So really, those 3 areas that I've pointed out are the only areas that I would recommend questing in Terokkar Forest. I wouldn't really recommend spending much time in Terokkar Forest, probably from 64 to 65. As you can see here, there are, of course, just like in every other zone, there are Horde and Alliance camps, which do opt for great opportunities for questing and gaining experience. The Stonebreaker Hold for the Horde, and the Alarian Stronghold for the Alliance. However, I would not, again, recommend spending much time questing at either of those. It is worth mentioning, however, that both of those Horde and Alliance questing areas do offer quests to capture what are called the Spirit Towers in the Bone Wastes. Once an Alliance or Horde controls all, I believe, 4 of these Spirit Towers, then actually I don't think that's one, it might be, but once your faction controls all of the Spirit Towers, then every boss in the Auchindoun dungeons, whether they're normal or heroic difficulty, will drop a currency called Spirit Shards, which I don't think I have any in my bags. Those spirit shards can be used to purchase pre-70 PvP gear. You can see right now on my Atlas loot, I have the rewards right now. Most notable are the epic rings available for 50 spirit shards. These are pretty good rings. If you're planning on PvPing at level 70, then these rings and the rest of this gear is are a great place to start. For example, these meta gems with spell damage or attack power and run speed increases, fantastic for PvP, and then some headpieces and of course the rings. Fantastic for pre-70 PvP. As we all know, it's frustrating to jump into Battlegrounds as a fresh level 70 or a fresh level capped character and just get absolutely bulldozed by people wearing max season gear. Now that's obviously going to be frustrating whether you have PvP gear or not, but it will give you a slight advantage and a leg up once you enter the PvP scene. That is about it for my notes about Terokkar Forrest. Pretty small zone. You shouldn't be spending too much time here. Again, you just want to boost up your lower city and Shattar reputations. Obviously, you'll come back to Auchindoun starting at 67 for the Sethic Halls. But yeah, as you're leveling and questing, you won't spend very much time here. One more thing I think I did forget to mention is that all of the quests for the Auchindoun dungeons are available at the entrance to the dungeons themselves. You probably saw some over here at the Mana Tombs when I was here earlier, but you do not need to spend any time starting quest chains like you did in Hellfire Peninsula and Zangarmarsh. All the quests are available just by walking up to them. So if you do want to boost your lower city and consortium reputation from the get-go with dungeons like I have suggested, then you don't need to start any quests beforehand. You just need to show up to the dungeon. Okay, that about does it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, blah blah blah, and I will see you all next time where we will venture into Nagrand. And I will probably include Blades Edge Mountains into that same video. Alright, have a good day.